Alright, so it's been a minute since I've done a little quick take, but I wanted to share some quick thoughts and kind of put together the pieces of the puzzle as they are revealed. And clearly, based upon all the things that's unfolding globally, we're witnessing a systemic, cataclysmic event of all types right now as we speak. Let's talk about that. Okay, so I want to take a quick minute, as I mentioned, just share some thoughts, put some thoughts out there real quick, get your take on things, because a lot of things are unfolding right now, which not surprising to most of us, but to try to navigate these waters and better understand exactly the role we play and the part we play in this, I think it's good to recap current events as well as try to forecast what could possibly be lying ahead, especially within the next 30 to 60 days heading to the end of this year. But just looking at what's currently going on now, what's the mainstream stories? It happens to be two that I'm keeping an eye on. One of them happens to be about the whole Evergrande debacle in China and how that systemic event over there, we're even being told that it runs the risk of being a contagion style event that will have reverberations all the way throughout the Asian economy, making its way over here to the Western Hemisphere at some point relatively soon. And in my personal opinion, based upon all the reverse repo activity and just the unprecedented monetary fiscal stuff that we're experiencing now, lets us know that something has already broke in the system. And everything is being done now to try to prop things up and to continue the illusion of a recovery. But yeah, just think about what's happening in China right now. It's been referred to as the China's Lehman moment, where 300 billion or so debt ultimately is come due. People want their funds back, knowing that they can't really receive those because it's debt in nature. And then you look at Evergrande stock price. I've just looked at that, and it's tanking continuously. And just think about the size and the scope of all the domestic as well as the international real estate that this company holds on their balance sheet as well as in their little portfolio of assets there. The Chinese market has already gone through, I think, 2 or so lockdowns, and a lot of people have not been able to make payments on the payments for those debt obligations. And then here in the U.S. as well, we have the moratorium situation, which is officially ending, and there's going to be lots of repercussions that will last for several months, if not years, that cannot be resolved, because the whole idea of shutting down and opening back up and allowing people to not pay and then force them to pay, it's not possible. And so that's just on the real estate side. So definitely there's going to be a correction in that coming soon. But yet the fact that the Chinese PBOC bank is not responding by stepping in right away to offer support, to cushion, and to remain and to keep confidence in all that activity over there lets me know that what's going on over there and their contagion style event, given that it's systemic in nature, because it will not just be contained right there, it will work its way over to across the world. But then also here in the U.S. we have the U.S. debt debacle as well, where the Treasury, Janet Yellen's come out basically saying that this is the last month that we'll have enough funds in our Treasury account to be able to make due on the bills that are currently owed, not to mention all the stuff that's promised beyond this current year. And so between the Chinese situation, the U.S. situation, debt there, debt here, if we don't raise the debt ceiling, we're going to default, painting that real dark and dire picture of it's going to be a systemic event that will be very cataclysmic for the entire financial system. Factored in, we are the reserve currency. We're facing things that seem to be very timely. So with China and the U.S. both, if they don't work this out somehow, some way, that will be the plug that could possibly be pulled that we've been talking about for some time now. And I would imagine you all believe that it's not coincidental. It is intentional. It is right on time for this 30 to 60 day time frame that we're anticipating something to occur. And by this point, I've mentioned so many things that could occur. I'm curious what else I might be missing. Feel free to let me know in the comment section. But outside of that, the next thing that's really catching my attention is what appears to be the emerging markets move into Bitcoin in particular. And so El Salvador this week just basically made it official legal tender. There was a dip designed to scare people out. And then Panama just recently authorized the cryptocurrency to be utilized as currency of some kind, not necessarily legal tender. And then we have Ukraine yesterday as well just announced that they're going to allow crypto assets and the digital asset space to have some legitimacy in their country. And so while the developed nations are tanking, i.e. we all know what's happening in Australia right now, that's a dang shame. And based upon what is revealed tonight with Biden's 6-point plan, we're going to see how much further we're going to take measurements towards that same ballpark as well. But China, the U.S., all debt-based. We have emerging nations ultimately running. It's a sign that they're running from their own currencies. They're running from the dollar as well by authorizing and legitimizing the cryptocurrency space. And that's very enticing to a lot of people because it gives them a sense of confidence of an exit out of the system. But then again, is it that easy? Can it be that easy? Or is it designed intentionally to appear as if it's the only outlet of a system that's crumbling because institutions are running towards it? You got so many influencers and nations running to it now. I'll let you determine what's best for you. But then also what's not being mentioned and what has been downplayed, what has been shunned, what has been basically just swept under the rug happens to be the most undervalued instrument from a monetary, from an industrial standpoint on the planet, and it happens to be silver. And just look at the silver to gold ratio right now, 75-1. It's completely out of whack. It makes no sense to the natural common man whatsoever. But yet, when it comes to the paper game, 75-1 or higher, it's become acceptable. But yet, from the earth, the ratios have to correct. Because at some point, the accessibility and access to gold and silver in particular, of course, platinum is doing its thing, palladium is doing its thing, uranium is doing its thing, all those metals, basically the periodic table, it's the foundation for true generational wealth to me because it's what humanity needs in order to continue and move forward. We can no longer have technology, housing, if it doesn't come from the periodic table. So that's the ultimate place where people should have their initial foundation in that. And then everything on top is what you do of it, of course. So I imagine at this point, everybody here believes that, knows that. But how come people don't question the current events and how it's being set up, whereas the BTC cryptocurrency space happens to be the only obvious choice for the majority? And even in the community, I sense a lot of, not necessarily the division, but there's the pros and the cons. There's people, especially in the Discord. I was watching the Discord, and a lot of people are extremely excited, in particular about one coin that appears to be doing extremely well. I don't dive into it, haven't really done much work into it, but from a nominal standpoint and a community standpoint, it's doing extremely well. And I'm sure you guys know which one that is. But ultimately, moving forward, the systemic contagion is currently underway. We all know something's going to give real soon, and it's going to be in combination what's happening in China and what's happening in the USA. In my opinion, this is a synchronized event. They are doing this intentionally. I don't think it's a left, right, Republican, Democratic thing. I think it's the handlers of those individuals are allowing this stuff to go on. And so they're setting up this month of September and October to be historic in nature. Because how many more debt-kicking cans can you continue to throw out there before the world officially just says, hey, enough's enough, we're done. Don't even bother to go down route anymore because we're not going to participate. And that's what it looks like happening right now. But these are some things that's on my mind because they're extremely important because they kind of shape the framework for how you and I will navigate our future. And then that's not even touching on the health situation that we're all up against. And so just to comment a little bit on some thoughts that were shared in the Discord earlier amongst the community was that where can you run, where can you hide to protect and preserve your financial futures? And we're all witnessing right now how through taxation and eventually flat out austerity measures where the government will have to recognize that they can no longer sustain this beast of a monster they've created, they're going to look to withdraw, minimize, cut back on some promises that people are rightfully owed. But at this current moment, because the government cannot meet its obligations, they're going to have to renege on some of those promises. And so just from the taxation front, everything that they're doing right now, there's articles floating out here about how the IRS now is looking to, recoup some of those lost gains. But then also, as I mentioned several months ago, they're going to restructure. Whenever the game is no longer in their favor, they rewrite the rules. And so when it comes to taxation, the possibility of unrealized tax gains is always on the table. because everything we do is denominated in a currency that it's become a weapon. So they're going to use any tactic they can to make sure they extract as much wealth currently and any future wealth that we think we hold right away, because they need to speed this thing up faster, especially as we come down to the grand finale of this entire monetary debt experiment we're a part of. So the whole point was, where can you run, where can you hide? And ultimately, there's nowhere you can hide, there's nowhere you can run. This is an event that we all have to deal with now, but I think a lot of us are looking at it from a different standpoint. We're looking at it from the outside in rather than the inside out, in the context of thinking that your greatest wealth happens to be in tools, whether it be silver, gold, cryptos, whatever. Those are all tools that transfers and allows you to store and preserve your past economic energy and your future projected economic energy in the form of some type of currency that you believe will be valuable for you to restart your life, reboot your life in the future. Problem is, every nation on the planet is lock in step with the globalist agenda of making sure everybody owns nothing and they're happy with it. So ultimately, your greatest wealth is you. Your greatest wealth is what's in between your ears. It's your ability to deliver value of some kind, somehow, some way, i.e. skills. And then, of course, I can't not touch on the fact that believers in particular operate under a different standard. We should operate under a different standard as far as the anointing on our lives in the form of the blessing. The blessing is upon you. It's who you are. It's it comes with all types of favor that doesn't really require anything external. So my point is, everything inside of you is really your true wealth. Your health is your wealth. Your family, your relationships is your wealth. And the skills and services and gifts you're able to offer is your wealth. And adapting that mindset in some form or fashion could allow you to be stripped down to nothing, but not lose who you are and what you are, to be able to geographically relocate yourself and pick up with no problem whatsoever and continue on, just because you view the world different. You view your role in this world differently. And just as an example, the persecution that we're experiencing, especially our brothers and sisters in nations where the agenda has progressed very, very rapidly. Just think back in the history, what everything happened with the Holocaust and to the Jewish community, and how people were stripped of everything they owned and were taken to somewhere they did not want to go, somewhere they didn't want to be, and all they had was just themselves and maybe the clothes on their back. And of course, not everybody made it out of that event there. But then the ones that did made it out of there, they were able to rebuild, restart over again some point in the future. But it had nothing to do with what they were able to smuggle out or keep out of there, because their wealth house became just their life and their ability to take whatever skills and services they had and restart their life in another country is more than likely what happened. So just I want to share some quick thoughts, because I think that there's a certain way of looking at things, and if you're looking at it solely from based upon your prior experiences, I think we'll be cutting ourselves short, because everything we're experiencing from this moment forward has to be seen through your spiritual elements, preferably your kingdom eyes, realizing that your faith is the ultimate currency you'll need to be able to then navigate these waters, not necessarily whatever you think you've accumulated or whatever you've accomplished to this point in life, because that all can be taken away from you at the drop of a dime. And or if you decide to relocate yourself, like I said before, more than likely you won't be able to pick up your entire life and take it with you if you're moving in an emergency style event. So just something worth considering. But anyway, just wanted to share some thoughts in my mind real quick. Where did I miss it? What did I hit on? What resonated with you? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment down below. And if you found value in this video, hit the thumbs up button, share this, just so it gives people another way of looking at things, because I think we can get caught too much. We can get caught up too much in the idea of possessing as much as we can, getting as much as we can now, knowing that ultimately you won't be able to A, use all that, and B, more than likely it's going to be stored up for somebody else. So what else is there to this equation that we're missing? So these are all things worth talking about. We can definitely touch on this later on the live stream side of things, but I'm curious to hear what you think. Leave a comment down below. I want to try to do more of these, what's on my mind, just put ideas out there and see what you guys think about them. So anyway, talk to you later.